Welcome to Backstage Pass with Gail Davis, your invitation into the world of keynote speaking and event planning expertise. Join us as we pull back the curtain and dive into exclusive interviews with speaking industry experts. From seasoned speakers to master event planners, we're here to provide you with the ultimate backstage experience. Get ready to unlock valuable insights, tips, and strategies that will elevate your events and leave your audience inspired. Welcome to Backstage Pass. I am your host, Gail Davis, and today I have the privilege of sitting down with someone whose story truly redefines what's possible. James Lawrence, better known as the Iron Cowboy, is a world-renowned speaker. He's a best-selling author, and he is an endurance athlete who has completed 50 Ironman in 50 days in 50 states. I should say 50 consecutive Ironman in 50 states in 50 days. And then, that didn't seem like enough, so he thought he would push it a little bit higher, and he did 100 consecutive full distance triathlons in 100 days. His story isn't just about breaking records. Before he became the greatest endurance athlete in history, he was a successful and remains a successful entrepreneur. And that same relentless mindset now fuels ventures in multifamily real estate and ownership of some crumble cookie franchises. And he's been featured in documentaries alongside icons like LeBron James, Conor McGregor, and is recognized as one of Sports Illustrated Fittest 50. And at the heart of it all, what I love is he's a devoted husband. He's the father of 5. He's not wearing it today, but he does have a trademark cowboy hat, which has become a symbol of his grit, his heart, and his family-driven ambition. Check it out, the Iron Cowboy. James, I'm thrilled you're here today. We got to do a little warm-up routine this past weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we were both at our industry conference. So super glad you made it you made time for this on your calendar after being at a conference. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely, Gail. And this is actually our second attempt to do it because you're busy, I'm busy, and I'm just thrilled to do it. I love connecting at those events. I'm an extreme introvert, but it's just, if we learned anything during COVID, like isolation and being by ourselves and lack of connectivity, it is the most destructive thing that we have ever experienced. So thank you for having me.
I'm so glad. So I want to start with just such a funny story because I think it just talks about what a small world we have and how the universe sometimes just collides for you. Mm-hmm. I was at a luncheon. When was this? This had to be like early July, I'm going to say. I think it was early July, maybe very end of June. And some guys at the other end of the table were talking about this colleague of ours, and they were just like, man, has anybody seen Elise? She looks so good. She's really been working out. She looks really great. In the most positive way, they were having this discussion. And someone said, well, it's because she did 75 hard. And so I'm like down there going, well, what's this? So I go home and I look at it and I download it. I look at my calendar. I start counting the days and I'm like, no, that's not going to work because I have to host that champagne brunch. Okay, I'll start that day. No, that's not going to work because of my high school reunion. And then I was like, what would happen if I just started tomorrow? And then I counted the days, and day 75 would be the day before I was leaving for Peru to hike the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do it. And then like anything, when I get fired up, I go all in. So now I've downloaded the app, and then I downloaded a podcast, kind of a welcome podcast from the founder, Andy Frisella. Is that how you say his name? Frisella. And I'm just listening, why this is so important, why I'm going to be so disciplined. And then he says, I actually got the idea from this guy named James Lawrence. And I'm like, what? And I pulled up my phone, and you were in our office the very next morning.
And I showed you a box of crumble cookies.
Yes, I do want to ask you about that. But I was like, what are the chances? So that was super funny. Yeah, maybe we should start there. How is one such a health conscious, super focused endurance athlete, and you're also the owner of a crumble cookie franchise?
Yeah, and so crazy kind of story. one, I'm not an extremist. I mean, if you look at my headlines, I'm an extremist, but I believe in balance. I believe in enjoyment. I believe in all these things. And that's how in my ecosystem, you can become successful. So treats now and again are great. Don't eat all the crumble cookies, just have some of a crumble cookie, right? And so, but I was doing a conference here in Utah. This is where the corporate is. They're bringing in all their franchisee owners. And I probably shouldn't even tell the story, but I got on stage, I do my thing, I blow their minds, everyone's going crazy. Spur of the moment, the uh, uh, CEO of the company comes up, donates a huge amount of money to our sex trafficking charity that we were partnered with. And then I get a phone call later and they were like, "Hey, we know you're from Canada. We're opening up the franchise there. Would you like rights to the city of Calgary?" And I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? I'm from Calgary. This is a dream. I'm an entrepreneur." Yes. And so it all just kind of happened, and it was like the perfect storm. I empowered him to the moment on stage that he donated, and then wanted to become business partners with us. And so it was really really cool, in the moment spur thing that just has been just kind of a real cool fun ride.
I love it. I love it. Oh, there's so much there I want to unpack because I did not know about your charity. So I want to come back to that in just a minute. But let's go back to 75 Hard. What is this conversation you had with the founder? Because this is a very popular challenge that I know my sons have done it several times. So what is your role in impacting the course of 75 Hard?
Yeah, so it was interesting. I had just done a speaking tour through all of India. I was exhausted. My assistant sent me a message and she was like, "Hey, there's this guy. His name's Andy Frisella. He runs the MFCEO project. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's pretty crass." Um, and he's like, she's like, "We can reroute you. You can stop in St. Louis. You'll go to the podcast, go home." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do a podcast. I'm exhausted. I just came from India. It was like super, super demanding." And I was like, she was like, "Oh, he's kind of a big deal." I was like, "Fine, I'll do it." And so I do no research. I do no nothing. I walk in there with a chip on my shoulder. I'm just like exhausted from the flight. I get in there and I just don't care. And he walks in and this dude is larger than life. Like his aura is crazy. He's got an entourage. And again, I didn't, my fault. I didn't research the podcast. And he sits down and it stands for Mother Effing CEO. And so he sits down and he goes, "My name's Andy Frisella. I'm the Mother Effing CEO. Welcome to the MFCEO." And I'm just like, holy cow, where am I? Wake up. Like, we're not in India anymore. Let's go. And we just have this super deep, meaningful conversation. And I understand his story and he starts digging into mine. And I said something. And this is what I said. I said, "The secret to success is doing a lot of little things consistently over a long period of time." And he was just like, "What do we do? What are we talking about?" And he literally texted me the following day. He was like, "Bro, I have been sitting on this for years. I couldn't button it up. That thing you said right there allowed me to wrap this whole project up." And boom, the following week, 75 Hard comes out. And it's been a phenomenon that has swept mindset and culture and whatnot. And tons of people have done it. I know people personally that it's absolutely changed their lives. And so, like, I did not create the program, but I was a catalyst to buttoning up a small piece of it that kind of pushed it over the edge, that got it to what it is today. And then obviously Andy's the guy that like pushed it out there and is the huge
And the
piece.
line you said again was, "It's the secret to success is doing a number of small things consistently."
A lot of little,
Little
a lot
things.
of little things consistently over a long period of time. And again, it's my whole philosophy of like, dude, there's no overnight successes. There's no
Yeah.
like secret sauce, magic pill. It's just like that work that nobody wants to do. In fact, a big chapter in the book Iron Hope is called Blue Collar Days. And it's just flat out doing that work when the excitement of day one is gone and you're
Yep.
nowhere close to the finish line. And it's just doing those repetitive basics, the fundamentals that make an individual great. And
I
we show
remember
things
I
we do.
asked you, I'm like, "Now, I mean, really, I need to take my picture every day." And you're like, "Yes, it's just one step. It's just one thing. You're just sticking with the commitment." So it
It's
was a
interesting
good
because
experience.
that picture requirement is a reason that a lot of people fail because
Yeah.
it's the smallest of things that do not matter, but that's part of the program, and that's the whole point is to be consistent on a daily basis and develop those habits. And so actually, I'm just finishing writing a book right now. It's called Discipline is a Lie. And the
Oh.
reality is discipline's very real, but discipline is something that is a skill set that you have to learn, you have to develop, and it takes time. discipline is actually a byproduct of systems and routines that we put ourselves through. And so you're not just going to wake up one day and, oh, I'm disciplined. It's January 1.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to happen. Like you have to over time start to sharpen that edge. And it goes all the way back to that quote. A lot of little things consistently over a long period of time. And one day you wake up and you're like, holy frick, I'm on the top of the mountain.
Well, after I met you, I went home and found both of your documentaries and watched them. I was so intrigued. I think the first one came out in 2016, and I mentioned it in the introduction. It is about completing 50 Ironman in 50 days across 50 states. And I'm a former corporate event planner. I mean, I know about logistics. I know about moving people, delayed flights, pre-planning. I couldn't even believe it. I mean, it was super impressive what you did, but the logistics behind you. And for anyone that's listening that goes, wait a minute, that's not possible. Well, he started in Hawaii, did an overnight flight to Alaska, and then basically made it down to the continental United States and worked his way across. Tell us about that. What did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, that if you want to find out who your team members are, exhaust them and then ask them to do something really, really hard. The cream rises to the top. And we ended up with a core four, me, my wife, and two wingmen, Casey and Aaron. And we dealt and managed chaos every single day. As a team, we averaged less than 4 hours of sleep a night for 7 weeks and had to perform at a level that was world class and do something that nobody had done before. There was no roadmap. There was no and so what we learned on that journey was just insane because every single day you're dealing with new people. Like you're not working with the same like event planners each time. It's like new people, new chaos, new weather, new problems, new issues. It is just like constant chaos at the absolute most exhausted state. And then you're asked to perform at the highest level. And so like the equation is that, and the answer is obviously greatness.
Yeah, that's interesting. Referencing the conference you and I were at, our master class was a speaker who talked about fluid teams. And what you just said, that we have a core team here at GDA Speakers. Every event we go into is a new event planner. I mean, we may have worked with them before, but it's a new team because now we got a new speaker. And so he would refer to those as fluid teams and how it's different skill sets to perform with your core team, but then to recreate that with moving fluid teams. So that's cool.
Ultimately why I ended up with CMI, because they are a team and they've got systems and protocols. They're disciplined. They're world class. And so, I'm just going to do a little pitch here, but I hope you guys feel comfortable working with our team, and you will see the same system every single time. You will see the same fluidity. You will see, what you get with Karen and CMI, which is why it's so phenomenal, which is why I made the switch.
Yeah, that's really important. And I always like to be fully transparent about all the players in the business. So, GDA Speakers, we're a speakers bureau, but many times we work direct with a speaker. But when a speaker becomes more and more successful, which has less and less time, or they're involved in other ventures, like James as an entrepreneur, frequently it's not efficient and it's not possible for them to manage all of their day-to-day. And so you'll hear us sometimes talk about different speaker management companies. And James is absolutely right. CMI, based out of Canada, is one of the GOATs, the originals, and it's their systems and it's their process. And they're just a great, great team. So that's awesome. Well, then I had to go find the second documentary, James. As if it wasn't enough to accomplish what you did in the 50-50-50, you then set a bar to see if it was possible for you to do 100 do you say Iron Men or do you say Iron Mans?
100 consecutive Ironmans.
100 consecutive Ironmans. Okay. You did that based out of your home in Salt Lake, right?
Yep, just south of Salt Lake City. Yep.
Yeah. So talk to us about that. How was that different than the other one? I mean, it's twice as long, but you didn't have the logistics. So
yeah, exactly. And so on the surface, it looks like, oh, he just doubled it and it's his same campaign. Dude, it was not even close because of life circumstances. And it was right coming out of the pandemic. And so, we made obvious glaring mistakes during the 50. It's in the documentary. It's in our book, Redefine Impossible. We've never hid from them. We talk about them freely. In fact, I've made a lot of money because of those mistakes because they turned into very valuable teaching points for me. Two of my favorite teaching points are from the 50. But it was during the pandemic, and as you know, in the speaking industry, wiped clean. Like literally 48. It was the craziest thing. 48 hours. We went from like whee to holy crap. What happened? Right. And that happened in racing, coaching, and speaking. And so all three of my worlds just went like poof. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't the worst thing ever. This is the best news ever. This is an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I'd always wanted to redo the 50 because I learned from my mistakes. I do it better and I erase my mistake. Because if somebody says right to me right now, James, have you ever made a mistake? I'm like, no, I have not. It's not that I haven't. Trust me, I've made a lot of mistakes. It's because I learned from those mistakes and I don't duplicate them. And so every mistake I've ever made has turned into an insanely powerful learning moment. But you have to have the emotional intelligence to sit down, reflect on it, take the accountability of your role in it, and then make the changes. So I was like, dude, I sat down with my wife and I'm like, let's redo the 50. And she's like, you idiot, we're not doing that. That was chaos, that was confusion, that was stupidity. And she's like, our kids are 5 years older, they're in high school, like all these things had changed. And so I was like, oh yeah, you're a pretty smart woman, we probably shouldn't do that. And then this guy says, well, what if we remove chaos, confusions, logistics, all of it? What if we put together systems, teams, protocols, and control the environment? Could we double what everybody said was impossible? Could we defy logic? Then I started to put it together. And my brain's wired a little bit different, but I think women too, like if women didn't think this way also, everybody would only have one kid. We forget the chaos and we remember the good moments. We remember oh, he's fun. I mean, he's so freaking cute. I love this kid. Right? We remember that. We don't remember the push every time.
Yeah.
I won't get it.
Sure.
Yeah, we forget that. I mean, my wife had 5 kids. And so I remembered the beautiful moments from the 50 and I was like, oh dude, I can double the beautiful moments. This is going to be amazing. And then I also remembered how fit I was going into the 50. Well, it's 6 years later. I'm a little bit older. I've been focusing on my speaking career. I've been changing people's worlds. And so I'm a very different person too, but I remember myself at my peak. So I gave myself 4 months to prepare. There was urgency on this. So I went from like couch to trying to do 100 Ironmans. And I actually teach now, like you can't go from 0 to 100. Like you got to do those little things along the way in order to be great. But in my mind, I was like, I've got experience, which I do. I looked at my body of work and I said, okay, I learned from the 50 that I'm going to get more powerful and strong. I'm going to adapt and evolve as I progress through the 50. A lot of people don't know about my final and 50th Ironman. During those 50 days was my fastest and we were the most strong. And so I was like, dude, the same thing's going to happen on the 100. We're going to gain momentum. We're going to crush this thing. I'm going to use the first 50 days as training. And then watch out, social media. I'm going to show you what's coming on the back end of this thing. I'm going to turn into a monster. Well, day 5, I am broken. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, and it only got worse. Like I was staring down the barrel of 95 more to go. That's really when you figure out who you are as a person. Like you got a quarter of a year left, 14,000 miles to go. And you're like, I made a commitment to myself, my charity, my kids, my family, my community. Like, here we go. And now the real journey starts. And it was just a beautiful, horrific 100 days of figuring it out and trying to be present and becoming master problem solvers day to day, all for a cause greater than ourselves. And we touched it right at the beginning, but we raised over $1 million to an anti-sex trafficking event to free humans that are being sex trafficked today. So it was one of the greatest gifts that we could ever give back. Honored to be part of the team that just kept showing up and kept dominating. And there's so much that happened during the 100. I mean, watch the documentary. I'm sure you'll I mean, you did watch it, but if you're watching this, go watch the documentary or check out our book, Iron Hope. But that's how it became. I was like, okay, if I can eliminate the chaos and put perfection together, what does that look like? And we attempted it, and then we just created more chaos for ourselves, but worked it.
I'm always intrigued when speakers have a nonprofit or a charity affiliated with them because we more and more get asked about that. How did you come up with sex trafficking, and are you still involved in helping that charity?
Yeah, not currently, and it's not because we don't love the charity. We love the impact that we had, and we're actually still super passionate about it. But if you look at our journey during the 50, my kids were all in elementary school, ages 5 to 12, and we were raising money for the childhood obesity epidemic. Here's what's crazy. We're the first generation ever where the parents are slated to outlive the kids. That's a terrible statistic. Gail, think back to when you were in high school, junior high, or elementary school. You can name, still today, I guarantee you, you can name the two kids that were overweight.
Yeah.
You go to a classroom today, it's over 50%. And that is tragic, and it's only getting worse. And so during the 50, I was like, okay, I'm in these kids' elementary classes. I'm volunteering. I'm a dad that does that, and this is a problem. So that became our cause.
I
And
see.
I had kids and a representation around me. Fast forward 6 years, my kids are teenage girls, and it became very apparent that this was a huge issue now, and it even happens with boys, and in fact adults. It's a bigger problem than I ever imagined. And so that became our pursuit, was to try to have an impact there. And so we change our charities and passions depending
I
on
love
where
that
we're at, and in different parts of our lives. And it just so happened those were passions
at that
during
time.
during those times of our journey. Yeah.
So now that those two documentaries are under your belt and those big achievements, is there something brewing out there that's going to be a next challenge?
It's so funny. I'm totally satisfied physically. I've learned so much about myself. I believe I have a bulletproof mindset. I truly believe I could go do anything. If somebody said right now, James, could you go do 200 Ironmans? Zero hesitations, the answer is yes. But, and this is the reality with life and anything that we do, you always have to ask yourself two questions. What's the sacrifice it's going to take to achieve the goal? Am I willing to do that? I know what I want, but I don't know what I'm willing to sacrifice. And then by doing it and sacrificing it, does it align with my purpose, my passions? Does it affect and benefit myself, my community, my family? If I can't make those two things align, the answer is no. And so now I'm truly focused on, like, I have a goal to change a million minds. I've spoken in 50 countries. That's why we called our book Iron Hope. People have lost hope, and I want to get on as many stages. I want to write books. I want to do podcast. I want to do it all, and I don't, there's zero way to quantify this, and so I'm not gonna stop. And so I'll just keep going until I die, and because that's what's next for me. That's my new purpose. In fact, we've done something really cool that I haven't really talked about publicly. Actually, I haven't at all.
Ooh.
We wrote a movie. We wrote a screenplay, and it's our story. But here's the cool part. I have a wife, 25 years.
I love it.
I've got four daughters, three sisters, a beautiful mom, all of it. It's really a big reason I went over to CMI, because it's an all ladies crew, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so this movie, it's going to be super powerful. It's written from my wife's perspective. And so she's the lead character in the role, and it's from the strong female role and character, because, dude, I know you guys know this, and it's not a secret, but women rule the world. Like, you guys, like, you get it. And I'm smart. Like, I'm not a dumb guy, and I get it. I'm like, okay. And so I know how powerful this movie is going to be. We're in the process
Almighty.
now. We're just trying to raise funds and get connected with producers or anybody that wants to fall in love with the script. And so, um, Gail, I'm going to say right now, and I'll send you a message when I'm there. Maybe I'll even invite you, but I'll send you the message from the Oscars.
Oh, I believe it. I love the intentionality. I love that.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
is really cool. I can get behind that story. I love it.
Yeah.
When I was on my James Lawrence like kick, and I'm just every day watching a movie, I'm doing 75 hard, and I have these two sons that are in their mid 30s, and I start telling them, and they're athletic, but they both were like, this guy sounds crazy. So I'm curious, now that you're really wanting to change lives and you're on stages, how do you turn something that is
Yeah.
so wild into something that people in your audiences can relate to? And what's their takeaway from hearing this kind of crazy story? How do you translate that to just
Yep. And,
average conference attendees?
and it's actually my most frustrating thing is I'm a very hard person, I believe, to get across the finish line to be booked, because the perception is dude's crazy, he's an anomaly, that is definitely not relatable to our audience. And the reality is, it's the number one comment I get, how impressed they are that the story was not about me, how I was able to relate it to every single member of the audience. You will be captivated when you sit down and experience our keynote, because it's not about me. I am not the athlete that's going to get up there and pound my chest. You will never hear me say the word I. It's we. Nothing great is ever accomplished on our own. And a big part of my platform is everybody's heart is different. And in fact, after the 50, everyone was like, dude, you are a freak. In fact, that when you were doing my introduction, funny story, it's actually Sports Illustrated ranked me as one of the top 50 fittest freaks in history. And
Oh, they've got the
I've got the
paperwork.
magazine, everything too. I was doing this event the other day for a massive healthcare company, and there was a couple thousand people there. And the guy introducing me was the CEO. He really wanted to do the introduction, and he was like, "Today we have one of the 50 freakiest athletes," and I was like, "No, that's not who I am, y'all." Like it just like it was this hilarious moment that I now get to make fun of and do my stand up comedy like you want to do. Um, oh man, I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Well, I think you were talking about that it's not about you. You don't
Oh
pound
yeah,
your chest.
yeah.
It's about
And so
we.
it's incredibly relatable to the public. In fact, that one of the biggest threads that I tie in is that everybody's heart is different. And I tell this beautiful story about, and you would have seen it in the first documentary, my mom who came to run a 5K with me. Because every night we were doing a 5K for charity. And I think I shared the story with your staff at the when I was there, but maybe not. And the story basically, the short version of it is my mom has struggled with obesity her entire life. And so the hardest thing my mom could think of doing was running a 5K.
Yeah.
And during the whole campaign, my daughter Lucy had committed to run 50 5Ks with me, all of them through the entire journey,
Yes.
because she was like, Dad,
Mhm.
I get it. You're struggling. This is hard. I'm going to be there with you every single day. And I weave all of this in, because a big piece of it too is like, I forgot about my goal and I started to help Lucy accomplish her goal every single day. Well, that got me to the finish line because I had a 7 o'clock appointment with my daughter every single night. So now back to my mom. She came out to do a 5K and one of the 5Ks with me on day 45. And at the end of it, I asked her, I'm like, Mom, how was that? And she was like, that's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And then from stage, and I haven't disclosed to the audience yet that it's my mom. And
Uh,
so then I say, what she said next, I'll never forget. She said, can I do it again tomorrow? And I said, you can, but you have to show up. And it's a massive teaching point. Like you have to show up on your journey. You can do it tomorrow, but you have to show up.
yeah.
And so she showed up the next day, and the story goes, and she shows up for 5 consecutive days through 5 states and crosses the finish line. And every single day she was last. But on that last day, her head was up and she was proud. And so on that final day, I went up to her and I gave her a big hug. And this is where I do the reveal to the audience. I gave her a big hug and I say, Mom,
Oh,
I'm so proud of you. And the entire audience just gasps because they realize that there's the connection. And my point in telling that story is exactly that everybody's heart is different because everybody in the audience has a mother, and so they can relate to this.
hmm.
And then I say, my mom's hard was 5Ks. Lucy's hard was 55Ks. My hard was 50 Ironmans. Everybody's heart is different. And I'm like, your heart could be
Gosh, that's it. Everybody's heart is
everybody's heart is
different.
different, and your
Okay.
heart could be the a relationship you're going through right now. Your heart right now could be a teenager that you're really struggling to connect with. Your heart could be, and I really tie it back into the audience. And there's a lot of things in there that I covered previously that we really. I'm telling you, Gail, I I don't even know how to say this without sounding braggadocious, but our presentation is brilliant. And I have just taken it's a master class in storytelling and life lessons. And it literally is there's not a single stage I've ever gotten off where they were like, in fact, I'll share the story with you right now. I just did a massive convention. It was mostly all women, a big network marketing company. They flew in all their leaders. And
Yeah.
so I get on
Michelle.
stage, I do my thing, and I go through the long line. I do a book signing. People were taking pictures. It was crazy. It was so fun. I love it. I love all women events. It's like my most fun things. I tell my daughter's story. I tell my wife's story. I tell like all these things. I pull a boy with cerebral palsy through an entire Ironman. Like it gets crazy. Anyways, this guy, I can see this guy in the wings, and he comes up to me afterwards, and he's like emotional, tears in his eyes, and he says, I lost two of my sons in COVID. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I'm so sorry. And he's like, yeah, but it wasn't because of COVID. It was because the fentanyl epidemic and they OD'd on drugs. And I'm like, okay, this is getting way too heavy, but I'm trying to compose myself and I'm in the moment. And he goes, I didn't know how to manage all of that in my mind until 1 hour ago. And I sat through your presentation. And it's moments like that where I'm like, yes, I'm getting through to people and changing the way that they're thinking. And it's not about me. It's not about the 100. It's not about the 50. It's not about like I've broken like tons of world records. That has nothing to do with it. In fact, I don't want to be remembered for those things. I want to be remembered for the hero in my own home and giving people, a million different people, hope on the journey that they're on. I gave this guy was like 70. He was losing the battle with his mind. It was the greatest gift I got to give that day. I got to give that guy hope to win the conversation he's having because of the two sons he lost to the fentanyl drug epidemic. If that's not enough for me to get on another stage and another stage and another stage, like I don't know what is. And I have 100 of those stories. And so yeah, my story is very relatable. I'm talking to someone's heart and their mind. It has nothing to do with athletics. I'm not even an athlete. I've just done stupid things.
You know, it's so perfect talking to you today after being with all of my industry colleagues. And I was in a small group having a conversation about what makes a great speaker. And I'm going to put you right up there with Nando Parado, Allison Levine, and you. And there's a commonality there. Nando Parado was in a plane crash and he survived 72 days.
Crazy.
The people in the audience don't relate to him because they also have been in a plane crash or because they also were stranded in the mountain for 72 days. They relate to him because of the way he tells the story, pulls them in. And he's had many instances like the one you just described, where people describe their hurdle. And he has this line where he says, we all have our own Andys. And then Allison, same thing, led a women's team to Everest, didn't make it to the top the first time, went back the second time. But it's not about only relating to the people sitting there who are interested in climbing Everest. Everybody can relate to the story. And so I'm really glad you shared everybody's heart is different and how it's really not about your endurance feats. It's about the life lessons and the teaching moments that you learned along the way.
Yeah, thanks, because this truly has nothing to do with about me. In fact, you watch the documentary, the second one, and the opening scene. I'm doing a voiceover, and there's some cool imagery, and I'm talking about the gifts that we were given by God. And I'm pissed because I'm like, dude, somebody got this music gift, and somebody got this athletic gift, and I don't know what my freaking gift is. And then over the course of this journey, I realized that I hope nobody else has this gift because it sucks. I have the gift of suffering.
Yeah.
And I can manage a pain like nobody's else, and I can tolerate, and I can really control my mind, and that's so powerful. And that's what I want to tell people. And the reality is our team's willingness to suffer intentionally has given people hope on the journey where they're dealing with life circumstances that they frankly didn't ask for, terminal illness and death and all these things. That's why we call the book Iron Hope, because we want to instill hope back in people's life.
I do remember thinking when I was watching the documentary that you're not all about you and that you acknowledge that team every step of the way. It's like a NASCAR pit crew or something, so that is another key thing I love the fact that you don't say the word I and that you say we, and you talk about the team that was required to pull it off.
It's crazy. I've become friends with a lot of great industry speakers, and one of them is Jesse Itzler. I'm sure you're familiar with his story. He's a phenomenal human being.
Yeah.
He actually had me come out last year and speak to his top 20 leaders, and in fact, just called me the other day and said, "Hey, will you come back out? I got 20 new leaders. I need you to blow their minds." And I was like, I was already booked that day, and so he was super disappointed. Anyways, he said to me, he was like, "Bro, like legendary stuff you've done, like your mindset control, the physical feats you've done." He goes, "But the thing I'm most impressed with," because he actually came out and did one of the marathons with me during the Conquer 100. We had a lot of people that came out and just like wanted to see it front row seat.
Yeah.
And he said it was the greatest example of bringing community together at a time when we needed it most. And he goes, and in fact, it was so crazy because we had hours and hours and hours of footage, and I handed it all over to the producer. He had a monster task ahead of him. And I said, "Look, you got to do two things." I said, you got to make this about family. You got to make this about community. You got to make this about hope, and you can't make me look like an idiot. He only accomplished the first three.
Another story that you just shared that really resonates with me is talking about your mom and how old she was and how that was such a big deal for her. And it reminds me, I think I was 49, I think. Maybe I was 59.
49.
You're 49? Okay, I'm going to go with 49.
I love it. It's a great age.
But I remember I had never, I mean, I was a cheerleader, but back when I was a cheerleader, it's not the same kind of athleticism that cheerleaders are today. Like, I don't know how to do like 9 million flips on the field, but I've never been what I would call an athlete ever, ever. I've never even run one loop around a track. That just seems impossible. And my son was doing a half marathon in Austin, Texas, and he said, "Mom, you should do this with me next year." And I was like, maybe. But I didn't want to tell anybody that I was considering it. You know, it's kind of like that 75 hard, you know, you just got to make that commitment. So I downloaded, you mentioned you went from a couch to all these triathlons.
I
Well,
was
I
so
downloaded this app called C25K. Have you ever heard of it?
yeah, Couch 5K.
Yeah, it works. So the
100%.
next thing you know, I'm just running all over the place. And finally, I told him, I said, I'm coming to this half marathon. And it was the freaking coolest experience I've ever had in my life. And my son, of course, whipped through the finish line.
Yeah.
But then he borrowed someone's phone. He found my bib. I sound so cool saying I had a bib. And he came and found me. And at the very end in Austin, there's this huge hill. And I mean, he had his hand on my back. He's pushing me up that hill, but it was so awesome. And since that, it unlocked in me that I can do a lot of things. And I've hiked the Grand Canyon from rim to rim. I've been in Zion. I just did Machu Picchu. I went to
75
Spain.
hard.
Yeah. And
Come on.
it's so that's another cool thing that you may be doing to audiences that you're not even aware of. But just in sharing that story with your mom, I bet you anything, there's people sitting there going, maybe I could do something like that.
100%. In fact, I get one of the biggest messages I get is a year after I speak at an event. And that's why I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm an empowering speaker.
I love that.
Motivation's a fleeting thought. I empower you to the moment where you take action and change your life. And so people are like embarrassed to come up to me or talk to me because of the status of their being and mind and body and all these things. I love the messages I get 1 year from after I spoke, and they're like, I didn't come talk to you, but your words embedded in me, and these are the things I did. And I ran a marathon. I became an Ironman. I lost 100 pounds. I did all these things. And so, like, again, that's why I continue to implore event bookers to put me on their stages, because I'm not a motivational speaker. Please don't promote me as a motivational speaker. I'm an empowering speaker.
I like.
Because
I've
I
often heard the
change people.
distinction between motivational and inspirational, but I really like the term an empowering speaker.
I'm the only one. It's mine, Gail. Don't let
Are you
anybody else.
taking that?
I'm
Shoot.
taking it. I'm the only empowering speaker out there. Just kidding. There's lots of it.
You've got the headline, Michaela. I love
I'm
it.
great
I
at
love it. I know also that you're a strong believer that the biggest race isn't always on the course, but it's in our own minds. And it seems to me like today, you know, there's so much more openness and awareness about mental health issues. How do you help? What advice do you have to people that are trying to win some sort of an internal battle and maybe rewrite the story that they're telling themselves about what's possible?
Yeah, I think as soon as people one realize how destructive social media is, I take them down that rabbit hole a little bit. But I talk a pretty big piece of my journey is the bully conversations we're having with ourselves. And I do this bit where I describe and I explain, like, nobody talks to you the volume and amount that you talk to yourselves. And you wouldn't be friends with someone that talked to you that way. In fact, I wouldn't be friends with you if you talked to me that way. And so why do we tolerate it for ourselves? And then I go on to explain that, and this really resonates with people. Like, science says we can't have two thoughts at the same time. It's science. It's not my brilliantness. It's science. And if that's true, then darkness can't exist in the presence of light. And if that's true, we can't be negative and positive at the same time. And so it's about learning how to manage the conversations we're having with ourselves. And that's a skill set. Like anything, resilience, all these things, they're skill sets. Like joy and happiness is a skill set. You have to work on it. And so early in my career, I was trying to silence the bully. I wanted to eliminate him. I wanted to kill him. I wanted to just bury him. Dude, homeboy's he's my guy now. Like, he's my buddy. I've completely changed the relationship with my bully. In fact, if I haven't heard from the bully in a long enough period of time, I'm not showing up in my life. I'm not trying to be great. I'm not trying to push boundaries. I'm not trying to bring people with me to the mountaintop. And so I want to hear from him, but I've learned how to manage him and control him. So I need to hear from him often. And so we're bros, man. I love hearing from him. And I'm like, cool, you showed up. Now shut the hell up and I got this. And I take over. But I've learned how to do it. And I don't think like again, back to gifts, we're all born with certain levels of like optimism and positivity and all this stuff. Dude, we are what we think about. We are who we surround ourselves. Like all that stuff our moms told us, if you had a great mom, like it's true.
Good.
And yeah, exactly. And so like I'm living proof of that, man. I'm going to the Oscars. We don't even have a producer right now. I'm going to the Oscars. We were #1 seller. I got a like all of it. Like I just speak it and it comes to, and I show up in my life in a capacity that this is the most important thing. The conversation we're having with ourselves.
Yeah.
What we tell ourselves matters. The dialogue we have every single day. And again, nobody talks to you. The volume, length, time frame, you're with yourself. It's why I won that contest where I sat on a Ferris wheel for 10 days. And it's why others didn't. I was comfortable just sitting there having a conversation with myself. And people aren't, because they've forgotten how to do two things. They've forgotten how to dream, and they're no longer listening to their intuition. Two gifts we've been given by God. And so for me, I'm a big dreamer and I listen to my intuition and I'm not worried about the future. And I have forgiven myself for my past and I show up every single day and I try to be the best version. If I take care of today, it takes care of tomorrow. And so that's just how I live my life. And I literally this morning I got up and for no reason, I was just like, I get to do it today. I get to do it one more time. I'm so freaking excited. I had nothing. Like maybe it was just this is all I got on my schedule today. And I'm so excited. I woke up at 4:30. I was so fired up. I wrote 2 more chapters in my book. I blitzed through 2 chapters. I went and ran for an hour and then I ate 2 boiled eggs and now we're here. And I'm just like, today's the best day of my entire life. Like it's amazing. I haven't even done anything.
I love it. I could probably stand here for 3 hours. I could go full on Joe Rogan here, long form, but I think that's a great way to end it. I mean, just, mindset. It's a great day to be alive and you get to do it. So
and this just happens to be sitting here. It's a part of my brand and it's don't suck today. Like that's all you got to do. Like you don't got to win everything. You don't climb every mountain. Just don't suck today, man. That's it.
I love it, James. If you're listening to this today, which I hope you are, I hope you'll share it with everyone in your life because there's so many great nuggets here. But if you're looking for a speaker to come in and just get your team fired up and ready to go across the finish line, your speaker is James Lawrence. So please reach out to us here at GDA Speakers and we'll work with you on bringing his energy and his impact as one of the most empowering speakers you've ever heard to your next event. Thank you so much, James. I loved it. It was great seeing you, and I look forward to having you on many stages in 2026.
Let's go. Thanks, Gail. Love you guys.
Thank you for joining us on Backstage Pass with Gail Davis. Tune in for more exclusive interviews and pro tips to elevate your events. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts with us. We'll catch you next time behind the curtain on Backstage Pass.